needs are, how to leverage them with other community members, and how to manage a windfall arrangement like that. But probably it would go to rental.
Okay, thank you. Now we've promised 2 questions from the door, and we're slowly running out of time for this section. What I'm going to suggest is that we try to do 2 questions, but I'm going to invite the candidates to just feel free to be super quick and snappy. Don't feel you need to use your whole minute by any stretch. Can we do that? Yeah. In fact, let's make this a 30-second response with a 15-second. Would that work for you, Sophie? Okay. 2 questions from this group today. First, and we're going to start with, I don't want to lose track, we're going to start with David, we're 5, and end with Peter. What will you do to improve the Heritage Commission so heritage sites aren't destroyed?
Whoa, tricky question. I'm not involved with the Heritage Commission. I guess what I do is I would talk to the community, make sure I fully understood the issues, because I don't know them very well. So I don't have a good answer to that question.
I'll try to do much the same as you, I think, David. Okay, could we just agree what it is, heritage on the island, the Heritage Register? Let's see what we're being asked to support. I'm not 100% sure would help with clarification.
What would help would be if the next council supported the work plan for the Heritage Commission and provided funding so that our planner could conduct heritage engagement with the rest of the community.
I guess I'm with the rest of the panel here. Let's have clarification on what the heritage plan is, what we want to be protecting, and let's make sure we put the efforts into protecting what are important sites. There's been a lot of discussion around the orchard, and a lot of people have not been happy with the final outcome. Perhaps we as a community can be more proactive in protecting the heritage areas that we would like to.
I'd like to see us develop the Heritage Register, because that's the first step towards actually giving protection to buildings, places, trees, whatever they are.
Okay, last question. Since the candidates have done such a great job of limiting themselves to 30 seconds, I think this last question is one we should open to everyone. Let's so I invite all 9 of you to respond, and we'll start with Rob and end with Peter. So share with us 1 or more notable accomplishments in your non-political working life that you feel better qualify you as a councillor. Just a little light thing. 30 seconds.
wait for the clock, so non-political. Well, I don't think this is political. I am very proud of having worked with a number of people at the table here, David and Smell, and laying that on our transportation plan. It's something I think that is so vital to a community, that people can move around effectively in the community. And we've never had, we're one of the last metro really area that doesn't have a transportation plan. And I think we have some really good components there that are going to let us, that are going to drive us in in a direction that's going to give people more options. So kids can walk, bike to school, and we're not stuck and dependent on cars.
Thanks, Rob. Okay, Robin, 30 seconds. Something from your non-political working life.
I think most of my life is political. I think something from my volunteer work over the last 25 years in housing, chairing and in a leadership role. I'm pretty proud of the work that most community housing associations have and groups have done to get us to this point. So I think that, and maybe being disabled sailor, I think that's one of my favorite roles and non-political.
Thanks.
I'm going to go a little differently here. Notable accomplishment, I've led hundreds of school programs sharing nature with children. And I just think this is something that I love. Children love it. It's a way for us to learn about our environment. It allows me to focus on the future and on the role of children in our community and in a healthy planet.
I've had a long career as a senior manager in all sorts of organizations and facing all kinds of really difficult situations. And what's really important is you learn to listen to others and you learn to be able to appreciate the other points of view, because you can't always get you can't win a win-lose situation. You need usually to find something that works for everybody. And I've had a lot of experience doing that, and I think that's a valuable skill that I can bring to council.
Okay, I've had the privilege of working in many parts of the world, so I guess that gives you a certain perspective. I've also dealt with labor negotiations and sometimes conflict resolutions under extremely trying, difficult, even physically dangerous situations. I've had to manage and coach large teams of people, some of them in excess of 600 people. It's a lot of experience gained, and I hope I can be able to share some of that experience with the council.
I was the president of the Editors Association of Canada. If you can imagine what it's like working with 1,700 editors. The upshot was we developed a certification program, a whole raft of workable policy. We ended up being financially stable, and we also had fun. If you can imagine having fun with 1,700.
So I would say my greatest accomplishment in my non-political life that will help me in council is also my proudest accomplishment. I'm a father of 2 small children. I manage differing opinions, disagreements on a daily basis. We manage tight timelines, we fill out multiple forms, and have to hit hard deadlines on a constant basis.
When I was doing my PhD on a tropical island in Thailand, I had a lot of people say to me, how can you do that? I mean, how did you pull that off? But now I sort of have people say to me, how did you pull off living on a little island near Vancouver, on the other side of the world? And I think this is quite an accomplishment. I'm not sure how that will inform my work on council, but I feel that a lot of us here have come a long way to Little Bowen. Many of us have lived in many different places before we landed up here, before we even knew that Bowen Island existed. And I'm very proud to have arrived here, and very, very happy to be here now. And I think that kind of sense of having come here and found a place that is so worthwhile investing all my time, energy, everything I have here, is what's going to be.
I'm so sorry. Okay, now thank you to all of you, and thanks to whoever asked that. That was a great question. It was a tough one at the end. I'm going to suggest Rob started. Yeah. See how quite carefully I'm keeping track. So we're going to turn to talk to the Islands Trust candidates, and Hope, if it's okay with you, I'm going to suggest, if it's okay with all of you, just kind of stay put for 10 minutes. Let's do that, please. We'll hear from the Islands Trust folks, and then we will hear closing statements from all of our councillor candidates. Okay? So the 4 councillor candidates who are also running for Islands Trust are Sue Ellen Fast, Michael Kale, and Peter Williamson. Alison Morse is not here, so we'll just hear from our 3 present candidates. And for this part, we're going to ask 2 questions and 1 question from the door. Easy peasy. So question 1. What value do Bowen residents derive from Bowen Island being part of the Islands Trust? Sue Ellen, I'll start with you.
hard one to quantify, because how do you quantify being part of a federation of other islands? And however, I'll try. The value, I think, are things like beauty. They're the opportunity, because it's embedded in our official community plan, to preserve and protect nature and environment and the things about Bowen that are special. This was an area set aside as a protected area. And so that's part of our foundation, our constitution, in the official community plan. Other values, I think, are things like how they help us when we hit a snag. For example, the rural grants that Councillor Nicholson referred to came about because the Islands Trust Council wrote a letter to the province and to the federal minister saying Bowen Island and all the other islands need rural grant funding. Why should cities like Duncan have access to funding that helps them with their community centers and not Bowen Islanders? So that's just one example. Another one is logging.
Thanks, Rowan. Michael?
Okay, I'm going to take 3 specific examples of how they supported us. They supported, as Sue Ellen said, eligibility for rural grants. They supported our position on logging, and they supported our position on speculation tax. All that within the time.
Well done. Thank you. Peter?
I think the Islands Trust leadership and support on environmental matters is absolutely vital. The Islands Trust is able to speak for many of the islands of BC, the ones within the Islands Trust, and there's so much to say about the kind of environmental challenges facing the Salish Sea, Howe Sound, and I'm very passionate about addressing these things. There's a long list of them: increased tanker traffic, the LNG terminal in Howe Sound, the proposed Burncoe logging, Burncoe gravel mine, the logging on Gambier Island. All of these things are threats, not in just some sort of abstract way to us, but in very real ways in terms of the changes to water quality, loss of habitat, and environmental impacts. So I think that it's very important that we are part of a bigger organisation, a federation, as Sue said, that can speak for all of us and speak strongly together. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. So the second and final question collected previously from the community is this, and we'll start with Michael this time. If elected, what are 2 goals you wish to accomplish as a municipal trustee for the Islands Trust Council? So 2 goals, Michael.
Actually, I would like to see a revised relationship, recognizing we're a municipality, and we've been linked with the Islands Trust since we became a municipality in very late in 1999. So this arrangement has been here since the turn of the century. It's also an arrangement which cost us this year $300,000. So for the term of the next election, at the current rate, the cost will be $1,200,000. That is the cost to us of the Island Trust. And I think we need to sit down and have a very serious discussion on that issue.
Peter?
Well, I am definitely a very strong supporter of being part of the Islands Trust. $1.2 million may sound like a lot of money. Of course it is. But I think we do get money for that. And I think it's important that we're at that table and that we continue to have a strong voice for the environment in the Salish Sea. I don't think that it's not up to us to talk about leaving the Islands Trust or rearranging our relationship with it. I'm very glad we're part of it, and I want to keep things that way. Thank you very much.
I'm also in support of the Islands Trust, partly because I've been a trustee this last term, and I can see how the different islands support each other. There's something to say about being alone on an island. I don't know. Anyway, 2 goals that I could think of. One of them is mapping. We've got eelgrass mapping now around the edges of Bowen Island, and if you think about eelgrass as an underwater forest that supports wildlife, whether that's baby salmon finding their way out to sea, it's called a baby salmon highway, or whether it's the reason that life, including whales and seals, comes close to the land for us to see them, I think that's really important to look at the marine surroundings of Bowen and how we can use wildlife in it. Another one is well water. Some of the Gulf Islands are running really low on drinking water. With climate change impacts, there's less water in the summer and more visitors. So how do we balance that? I think that's something that I would want to do through the Islands Trust.
Thanks, Ellen. Now, finally, our question from this group, question from the door is our final one for the Islands Trust candidates. This one's going to be a 30-seconder. I've just decided in the interest of time. So, Michael, here it is. What's your plan for informing Bowen Islanders of what the Trust is doing?
You know, it's interesting you asked me that question, because that's the question I've been asking in council for the last year. How do we inform? And I really haven't had the greatest, the clearest, the easiest to understand answer. And that's just one of the reasons that I'm running for Island Trust.
Peter.
Well, I think Sue Ellen will do a great job informing the community about what the Islands Trust is doing. She is doing that already. We used to have a sign as you came onto the island which said that you're now entering an Islands Trust island, and that's gone. I think a good step would be, a good first step would be for us to remind people that we are part of the Islands Trust, and that there's a certain pride in being part of that Federation of Islands.
Thank you. Sue.
Besides reporting at every council meeting, which I do, I think my plan for informing Bowen Island about what the Trust is doing, we could think about signs, something like keeping Bowen Island beautiful, working with partners, Metro Vancouver for Crippen Park and for Bowen Island Municipality for our parks, and for the Islands Trust for the different nature reserves that are set out around the island. We don't think about them, but they're there, and we don't have to pay for them.
Okay, thank you. So to our Islands Trust candidates, that's the end of this section. And now we come to the final portion of this meeting, which is giving each of our councillor candidates a chance to speak to each of you for 1 minute. And because we're at the end, and because this is really important to the candidates, I'm going to be slightly unorthodox and just ask everybody just to stand up for 1 second. Just stand up, including the candidates. Stretch for a second. And candidates, what I'd like you to do is grab your notes, and some of you who've been facilitating with me before will laugh because I do this a lot. I'd like you all to reorganize yourselves according to first name. So A at this end and Z at that end. So let's just shake it up a little bit and then give these folks one last bit of our attention. Now I better figure that out. So Alice is not here, so I guess we're going to see David down at this end. I'm struggling with my alphabet. David, Lawrence, Maureen, Michael, Peter, Rob and Robin. Struggling too. And Sue Ellen.
Can I just say we've got some health conditions here, including broken bones and odd bits, and so there's going to be not quite in the order that you think.
That's cool.
Okay.
Okay, everybody ready? Have a seat, and let's do it. One final minute to each of the candidates to tell us why they should be elected to the Bowen Island Council. So first up is David Hawking.
Can you, oh, it does work? Okay. Okay, thanks, Andrea. Mostly we've talked today about our positions on big issues, but at every meeting, councillors have to make judgments on all sorts of issues, from tiny and detailed to complex and big. But all of these decisions are consequential. How do you make good decisions? Wise decisions come from careful listening and really good teamwork. And teamwork is what I love to do. I'm on 5 volunteer groups on Bowen Island, so I must love being on a team. And in my management experience, it's been in the private sector, it's been in a national environmental organization, and it's also been for government. So I've got a wide background in all sorts of areas. But good decisions also come from clear strategic goals. So for me on Bowen, these goals are to protect our natural capital. That's the beauty and value of nature which surrounds us. And to enrich our social capital. That's our quality of life with a diverse population in a safe and welcoming place. So finally, I've been retired from my main job, but I've been doing some contract work, having fun, but I'll ditch all that and just work on the quality of life in Bowen Island if you would like me to counsel, so please do.
First of all, I would very much like to thank everybody here, everybody for taking time out of your day to come and participate in this very important process of democracy in our small community. Thank you so much for being here, and thank you for all the candidates. I believe that I represent a young perspective, a young family's perspective, an important perspective that should be represented on council. You've all heard me speak about affordable housing and the importance of affordable housing. I believe that we cannot hang our hat on the Birch project and say, job done. We need to go much further. We need a multi-pronged approach. Looking at the secondary suites bylaw, I believe that currently limits the secondary suites on the island, and it needs to be revisited. If you agree with what I say, please grab yourself a sticker. If you don't want my name, but yet you still believe in affordable housing, I have some really cute little greenhouses with hearts in the middle to say we all love affordable housing. So thank you very much.
Maureen Nicholson.
Thank you. Thank you all for coming and staying. And thank you to the council that I've served with over the past 4 years. We've been pretty civil, and I think we've got quite a lot done. So I'd just like to ask you all to vote wisely and think in terms of making sure that you retain diversity on council. It's made a difference, and we need to continue on making a difference.
Yes, thank you. The task ahead spans 4 years. And that's 4 years of who knows what is going to come up in front of us. It may not just be single issues right now. In fact, this campaign will probably go down as the one where all the candidates were in violent agreement. And fair enough, because in some ways you've been remarkable listening to people say fundamentally the same thing. But we are going to have to cope with those complex issues. And when you're looking at the box, you see my little boutonniere here, and the motto is, kale is good for you.
Peter Williamson.
Right, well, I can't top that, but I think what I'd like to bring to council is perspective, different perspective perhaps. I've lived in 4 continents. I was born in South Africa. I lived there for my childhood. I lived in Australia for over 20 years. I lived in Thailand for a couple. But now I'm here and I'm here to stay. I also think that I'm someone who's given to thinking about the long term, and sometimes to a fault, I think about the very long term. I find it interesting, and I find for me, it's not abstract. You know, I'm not going to be here when a lot of our problems become as acute as we fear they will be, but I care deeply, deeply about creating a world and leaving a world infrastructure, ideas, plans, policies that are going to serve us into the long, long term. So that's where I'd like to be, what I'd like to stand for, and I think that's something very, very important to bring to council. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. It was a great conversation today. I, like most of us here, just feel so privileged to live on this island, and I want to live here right to my end of days, and I hope my son will come and move back on the island, and that we all have the opportunity to stay here, to age on the island, but also for young people to come back, have affordable housing, and have the opportunity to start a life on the island when they come back from school, for instance. I've relayed some of my experience. I've worked on many boards since the mid-90s. One thing that I have learned is how important it is for a board to work effectively together, to work as a team together, and most of the boards I've worked on has been consensus-based, and it's my commitment that whoever you decide, I'm going to work as an effective team player, and I'm going to make sure that we get some of these good projects and opportunities on the way so that we continue to keep this island the great place it is today. Thank you.
Laura, passed.
I've really enjoyed working on this council. We've been a diverse bunch, I think, from diverse backgrounds, yet we've worked together and I think we've accomplished a lot. I think some of the things we've accomplished relate to projects I had been working on in the past. For example, years and years on as chair of the Bowen Island Conservancy, when we established a bunch of parks on Bowen in conjunction with the municipality. Now I'm itching to get going on the new plans that we've got, the updated plans, transportation plan, the parks, trails, and greenways, our new parks plan with the trails and the beaches inside it. I'm here for the public interest. I'm here for public beaches and public parks, public trails, nature and community. I'd be honored to represent you again.
Dedicated commitment to providing affordable housing on Bowen Island many years ago, and have continued to work in that area for a long time. I look forward to working on this council, if elected, to continue that work. I believe there's a significant amount of work that needs to be done to help alleviate our housing crisis, including, and I'll emphasize again, there's currently big gaps in planning and policy that need to be developed in order for any of our options, our current options for housing, or even suggestions for different types of diversity in housing to be developed. Without having a plan or without having the policy that permits any of our housing to be built, we're back to square one, which I've been talking about and bringing to council for many years. We need to update our policies. Thank you.
Thanks. Everybody, we did it. We did it all. And we only took an extra 5 minutes to do it, which is really impressive. Candidates for contributing their time today and putting themselves out there in such a terrific way. Thanks to all of you for coming. Thanks to Hope and to Sophie and their team for putting on the legislative. As we go, I just wanted to say I'm going to encourage you to do 3 things, of course, and one of them is to keep talking and thinking and debating about all of these issues. The second is a challenge to make sure at least one other person in the community votes that wasn't planning on it or was fudging about it. If you can be responsible for bringing one other person to the gym, you get a gold star. And last but not least, make sure that you yourself get out to the advance poll or to the actual vote on the 20th. Hope, did you want to speak to that, or do you want me to just remind? Come on. What you really need is this booklet. It's got everything in it. Okay.
Hi again. So we have an advance poll on Wednesday, October 10th, and it will be at Municipal Hall, so please don't come here, from 8 a.m. till 8 p.m. It's all in the booklet. And so if you're already registered to vote, if you know you are, that's great, just come on in, you don't need ID. If you don't know if you're registered to vote, please call us or email me. My email is in the brochure and on the website. General voting day is on Saturday, October 20th in this facility, 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. So please come, tell your neighbors, tell your friends. And if you don't plan to be here on either of those dates, we do have mail ballot voting available. So you can submit an application to receive the package by mail until October 12th. And you can actually just come into Municipal Hall and fill out an application and get it right then and there, right up until Friday, October 19th. So those are the voting opportunities. And I think that's all. Thank you again so much for coming out, for sticking around. We really appreciate it.